All right, welcome to Trust the Process Show. Host Chris Reed here. I'm super excited to have Walter Bond here joining me today. Walter is a former NBA player and more importantly now a world-renowned motivational speaker. Walter, thanks for joining me this morning.
Absolutely. Chris, thanks for reaching out. And, a lot of times people think that I'm having some work done in my house. I don't know if you can hear it. A lot of times people think that, when you get to a certain level, you're not approachable. So I give you credit for just reaching out. And, I love impacting people, and that's what I do. So hopefully I can be an impact player for you today.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. So the show, Trust the Process Show, Walter, before we get really started into that, I think a lot of people know who you are. You've done very well, but just in case, maybe I always ask my guests just to give us a little bit of an overview of, who you are from your own words so that if anyone doesn't know, they have a good idea of who Walter Bond is.
Yeah, but thanks, Chris. I played pro basketball for 8 years. I played for the Dallas Mavericks, Utah Jazz, and Detroit Pistons. And for a long time, I thought that was my purpose. I was put on this earth to play sports. And my biggest dilemma was what sport. I was a really good baseball player, very good football player. My body's probably more football friendly than basketball friendly, but I'm a Chicago kid, and Chicago is run by basketball. So I knew I was going to be a pro athlete, but toward the end of my career, something was missing, and I achieved all these incredible achievements as an athlete. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to do something special with my life, but this is not it, and it's true. People have seen me play and heard me speak, and nobody disagrees that I'm a much better speaker. So, basketball was just a way for me to learn how to be excellent. And so now that I learned how to be excellent as a coach, what I do now is teach others around the world to make sure that they know what it means to be the best in the world at what they do. And the way we start the process in our coaching program is that the first thing we have to do is eliminate excuses. Excuses are crippling. And so when anybody joins our coaching program, that's like phase one, because until you can deal with your excuses to justify your current situation, and let me be honest, I had them. And when I had excuses, they were real to me. I didn't think they were excuses. I thought it was just my truth. And as I've grown and matured and kind of busted through some barriers, I realized I was deceived in my own head, and I really talked myself out of success instead of talking myself into success. So our book is titled All But Stink: How to Live Your Best Life and Eliminate Excuses. And for us here, that's the genesis of how we engage all of our clients.
There's a couple of things I heard there, Walter, that I appreciated of you is just like, one, you knew you were going to be destined for greatness. It wasn't like, it was my dream one day to maybe be great. It was I knew I was going to be a pro athlete, and I knew I was destined. And I think there's a serious conviction behind that when you say, rather than say, I kind of want that.
Chris, you're right. And I'm working on my next book. It's going to be a bestseller. I already know it because I've shared it in my keynote, and it just clicks. And the book is going to be titled The Shark, the Suckerfish, and the Parasite. And I've been studying sharks, right? And we've all heard of Shark Tank. Sharks have a certain mentality, and sharks aren't fish. There's a lot of fish in the ocean, but the sharks run that thing. And if we look at sports, LeBron James is a shark. Steph Curry is a shark. You look at business, Bill Gates and Elon Musk, and there are certain sharks in business. And so the book, The Shark, the Suckerfish, and the Parasite, is first going to teach us all the mindset of a shark. And there's a bunch of different species of sharks. You got the great white shark that operates in the deep, wide ocean. You have bull sharks that prefer kind of murky, shallow water. And then you also have lemon sharks who thrive in captivity. So when we see a shark at a zoo, for the most part, it's going to be a lemon shark. I've been completely fascinated with sharks, but they're also a suckerfish. I don't want to get into it too deep because they live in it's a symbiotic relationship, but there's also parasites. And so when you look at this world, 3 buckets. People are sharks, suckerfish, or parasites. It's okay to be a shark, obviously. It's okay to be a suckerfish, but we never should be a parasite. And when I get done with this book, man, we're going to teach people how to be sharks and how to be suckerfish and how to protect themselves from parasites.
That's all, and I'm smiling right now, Walter, because my son, I have a 10-year-old son. He's on the spectrum of autism, and he is obsessed with sharks right now. So
Wow.
he has been reading every book and memorizing all this stuff, and he's just. So what you're saying is like he's in the other room, and right now he's literally reading on sharks because he just loves them. So maybe you two could work together a little bit and help each other with some shark knowledge because he just loves them.
Well, I think we all should study sharks. I mean, they're
Absolutely.
fascinating animals, and I have been just blown away by learning from sharks. And so, what I want to do is just raise up sharks all over the world. And if I can do that successfully, that'll make me and my career very fulfilling.
Absolutely. So going in from your career, Walter, you kind of touched on a bit where it was like, you started off as a professional athlete. You knew you wanted to do that. And then you realized it wasn't necessarily your destiny. So as you work with, your clients and they're kind of moving into, maybe they don't have their idea identified and they don't even know how to really move into that process to get them to where they know they want to be. What is your message to those people who are just, we'll call them maybe suckerfish? They're just kind of swimming around. They don't necessarily have that, right? How do you go from being a suckerfish to being a shark where you're going to be a predator in the water and you're going to do everything you can to get that?
Well, the beauty of sharks, man, sharks never stop swimming. They never stop moving. If they stop moving, they'll drown. Sharks can't go backwards. If they go backwards, they die. Okay? Sharks always look up and they never look down. So the shark mindset is what we all need to have. And really, core values, I think is important. Making sure that we build the right culture is important. But most important, all business leaders need to have the right people on their team. See, being an athlete, I knew that in order to win a championship, we had to have the right team. And so a lot of leaders have no clue how to build a team. You can't build a house, you can't build an apartment, you can't build anything without a blueprint. And so Jersey Mike Subs, for example, is one of my clients. And they've hired me to come in and teach them my proprietary framework on how to build a high-performing team. And we always respect great coaches, Phil Jackson, Vince Lombardi, Pat Riley. I'm sure Dwayne Casey up in Toronto, great coach. I don't know why they fired him, but all great coaches have a framework. They have a blueprint. And I know you guys love hockey, up in Canada. You think about the greatest coaches in hockey, they all had a blueprint. That's why whenever they went somewhere to a new team, everywhere they went, they built a winner. They built a winner. Mm-hmm. They built a winner from their blueprint. So when I left sports and got into business, the biggest gap I saw was that leaders just hire people and just try and hopefully be successful without a blueprint. That's literally just taking a block of wood, some concrete, and some nails and just throwing them in the grass and trying to build a house. You gotta use the blueprint to build the house. So there's so many fundamentals, Chris, that we share with our clients. That's why once we get inside of an organization, regardless of the size, we tend to go back again and again and again because they love all the fundamentals that we teach. And so again, using my sports background, I had to first get rid of excuses. The moment I got rid of excuses, the process began. Now your show is called Trust the Process. As long as I had excuses, as long as you have excuses, as long as anyone has excuses, the process is delayed. And so the moment I get rid of excuses, the process of developing into an NBA ball player began. And I'm telling you, everybody listening, this is why we've had success in our coaching program. This is why we have success with all of our big clients. I'm coaching a guy in Russia right now. He's a technology guy. And I told him, you know what? You can't be a technology guy anymore. You have to become an executive who runs a technology company. He just looked at me like, wow, never even thought about it that way. As long as you're a technology guy, you'll never think like a leader. And so I'm really transforming his mindset from basically being a suckerfish into a shark. If we're really going to talk about it. But again, until we get rid of excuses, we're never going to reach our potential. And so I'm telling you, I was guilty of it. My father helped me get rid of my excuses. My excuses were my reality to me. My father asked me some amazing questions, and he forced me to become accountable, to take ownership. And so I want everyone listening today to trust the process, but you got to take ownership. Don't blame your parents. Don't blame your background. Don't blame I came from a small town. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too white. I'm too black. A lot of people have excuses. I'm a female, right? And so until we get rid of these excuses, the process of development is delayed. And so my lesson for anyone listening, trust the process. So get rid of your excuses and then create a process. So in our coaching program, Chris, simply put, we have a process that can help any business leader grow and develop and grow their business.
So with that, Walter, I think that was absolutely brilliant what you said there, especially the ownership piece, and owning your side of the street. So, I'm a firm believer that, no matter what, someone could burn you on whatever, but unless you own your part, we're always going to be making that excuse of that person did that. I'm not there because of that thing. But what can we own? So what I'm hearing is just like owning your own shit. Because once you own your stuff on your side, it's like, okay, well, I can own it. Everything else is noise. That's out of my control. Right. And that's kind of what I'm hearing from you.
And Chris, the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite.
Yeah.
A parasite needs a host. Okay. And if you are in a relationship with a parasite who's just selfish and always taking and never gives, right? That's your fault. Because a parasite needs a host. So even a bad relationship, you have to own it. A bad boyfriend, you got to own it. Bad girlfriend, bad husband, bad wife, bad coworker, right? Bad employee. I see a lot of business leaders who say, hey, I had to fire a guy who was a bad fit. And they always look at it like that's the employee's fault. No, that's your fault. You chose them. You took 6 months, you looked at all these resumes, you brought them in for 2 or 3 interviews, you thought they were the perfect fit. You moved them across Canada. You moved them from Toronto to Calgary, and 6 months later, they're a bad fit. That's not their fault. That's your fault. You didn't have a framework, so you didn't know what you were looking for. You see, in sports, you have a framework. And so what you do, you go and recruit the work expression your team lacks. And when you go and recruit the right work expression that your team lacks, it's a perfect fit. So in my mind, leaders need to understand work expressions. That's what we teach our leaders in our framework. Need to understand how someone expresses themselves. Employee engagement is really low in corporate America, right? Why? Because people aren't able to express themselves at work. If I can't express myself at work, I don't like it here, I disengage, and eventually I leave. So it's the leader's job to create the right culture. It's the leader's job to find the right people. It's the leader's job to make sure all the pieces to this puzzle are working together in harmony, and nobody's competing with each other internally. Everyone's completing each other internally. My wife is my business partner. Dude, her skill sets complement mine perfectly. So we very rarely compete. We complete each other. And that's why we've been able to build a great organization, because we are a great team.
Is that a quote from you? Instead of competing, completing each other? Because that is brilliant, man.
I've heard people say it before. Actually, the first person I heard say it was John Maxwell.
Okay.
And I think in life, you credit where credit is due. And I don't know where he got it from, but John Maxwell, I'm a studier. I study, I get information. And the smartest thing I've ever did, Chris, and I want to encourage everybody on your podcast, is that we have to use money the right way. See, money is currency, right? It's currency. It's a current, which means it's supposed to flow. People who live in poverty are very stingy and they're very cheap, and they don't use their money the right way. So when I left basketball, I used my money the right way. I used my money to get information, and I used my money to get access to the right people. I live in a country club right here in South Florida, full of sharks. Oh my God, we have great sharks roaming around. I mean, I live in an ocean, right? Literally, my neighborhood, we have 9 billionaires in my neighborhood. I had dinner Tuesday night with a billionaire. So I joined this country club. I used money to gain access to sharks, the right people. And iron sharpens iron. So I want to challenge everybody. How are you using your money? You buying expensive cigars? Are you buying fancy cars? Are you buying, very, expensive wine and whiskey to kind of show people that you're successful? Or do you use your money to get the right information and the right access to the right people, where you can buy cigars and nice cars, and it's not, it's from your overflow, right? And so we live in a world where, a lot of people are trying to convince each other that I'm successful instead of just being successful. And that's what I'm about. I don't want to convince you that I'm successful. I am successful. So I'm focused on being successful. People see me as a shark, and all of a sudden, you're a shark when you begin to attract suckerfish. When people ask you, will you coach me? Will you mentor me? See, unless someone's asking you to coach them, unless someone's asking you to mentor them, you're still a suckerfish. And that's okay. But if you keep developing, eventually, in time, in due season, you'll transform from being a suckerfish and become a shark. Because when I left basketball, I was a suckerfish. But I got connected to very successful business people. I began to study how they talk, how they operate, how they sold, how they built their business until I became a shark myself.
That's I love that. So when you got out of the NBA, then Walter, and you knew you were gonna do this and you're gonna be successful. What was in terms of like anyone listening, and just from my knowledge, I'm just curious, but what was that kind of time frame where you're like, I'm going to leave and this is when I know I'm going to be successful. I'm going to trust that process in the next 3 years or 5 years, whatever that may be, knowing that I will get there. Was there a date in mind, or did you just how did you plan in order to get there? I don't want to say over analyze the situation, but did you have a process or plan in mind that would get you to where you wanted to be in a certain time frame to keep yourself accountable?
Very simple, Chris. In sports, we always watch game film. In other words, when you're preparing for your competition, you watch game film because you had to figure out what their strengths were, what their weaknesses were, and how you're going to defeat them, right? So as an athlete, we learned how to break down game film. And so when I decided to become a motivational speaker, this is what I did. I asked around, basically said, who are the top speakers in the business? Who are the great white sharks in the motivational industry? And of course, I heard about Tony Robbins and Les Brown and Lou Holtz and Zig Ziglar and Keith Harrell and Desi Williamson, Mr. Impact, and I got all their videos. And I watched game film, right? And I began to study how all these sharks operated. They're at the top of the food chain. Let me study them. So if you're in technology, who are the technology sharks? Study them. If you're in construction, who are the construction sharks? Study them. My father always said, pay attention. So I studied the sharks in my industry. I discovered what they all possessed that made them great. And then I began a process of becoming that myself. And great speakers are very entertaining and dynamic, and they give their audience great information. That's what I discovered from my game film. And so I knew if I could become very entertaining and very dynamic and give my audience great information, I could become a great speaker. So when I got inducted into the Hall of Fame as a motivational speaker, I'm sitting there, I got on my tuxedo, and I'm just calm. And a woman comes up to me, Chris. He says, oh my God, you're going into the Hall of Fame. Aren't you excited? And I was like, yeah, I'm very excited. And she was like, you don't act like it. You know what my answer was? I expected to be here. I expected to be here because I studied Hall of Fame speakers in the beginning. So when I became a Hall of Fame speaker, I expected to be there because I knew the process of becoming the best in the world in basketball. And the difference with me is that I studied Michael Jordan, but I didn't have Michael Jordan talent. I studied Magic Johnson. I didn't have Magic Johnson talent. So when I stumbled into the motivational speaking business and I saw Zig Ziglar, I saw Tony Robbins, I saw Les Brown, I saw these guys for the first time in my life, Chris, I was like, I can do what they can do. I can do that. Yeah. I can do it. I can entertain people. I can be dynamic. I'm full of charisma and I can get great information. And so I never saw myself as not being able to operate at that level. I knew in basketball I had limitations. I couldn't jump like Michael Jordan could jump. I didn't have that explosive athletic ability. I mean, if you see LeBron James, he's a physical freak. He's probably the best athlete that we've ever seen in any sport, right? So that talent level, you got to respect. And so I'm just thankful that even though I was in the NBA, I knew I had another purpose. And I'm telling you, God led me right to my purpose. And when I go in front of an audience of 1,000 people, 5,000 people, or a one-on-one coaching session, the talent, the ability, and the gift is obvious. And I just thank God.
It's so true. There is, you have to go where your purpose is. And I think, you know, you can have talents, you can have passions, but your purpose is what's going to drive us. And, you know, as we kind of end this pretty quick here, I just understand, you know, kind of know from you, I think we all have to have an understanding of why we do what we do. And I just love to know what your why is. So like when you wake up, Walter, every day, what is that why of what are you giving to the world that gets you up? I'm sure you wake up every morning just as motivated as you were the first day you left the NBA to be a motivational speaker. What is that why that wakes you up every day and keeps you motivated just as much as it did day one, each and every day?
Well, for me, Chris, we all had dreams, in the third grade, fourth grade. We all wrote that paper, stood in front of the class and said, you know what, when I grow up, I'm going to be a pro athlete. How many kids said that around the world? When I grow up, I'm going to be rich. When I grow up, I'm going to be a doctor. When I grow up, I'm going to be a lawyer. Literally, I'm living the life that I dreamt when I was 10 years old. I wanted to be a pro athlete and I also wanted to be successful in business. In fact, my goal was to make more money in business than I did in sports. Huge goals, and I made both of them. I played NBA, and now I'm a Hall of Fame motivational speaker. I want everybody to have that feeling. I want everybody to reconnect with that dream they had in the third grade, fourth grade. I mean, you told me you wanted to have an AM radio show, and you got a beard, and your hair is receding, and you finally got a podcast.
It's
true. I don't know how long it took you to go for it. Let me tell you, man, sharks attack. Okay, sharks are always looking for that next food source. Sharks have unstopped movement. They're always pursuing. They always are in attack mode. They're alpha. They're predators. And that's what we teach in our coaching program. A lot of business leaders don't even know the right activities. We teach them the right activities. We teach them to locate themselves. Businesses grow in phases. So we teach all of our current clients to decide what phase you're in right now and be honest about it. And once we can locate what phase you're in, we coach you hard until you get to that next level. As soon as you get to that next level, we coach you hard and get you to that next phase. And my whole deal, as you said, your show has a great format. Trust the process. Okay, and everybody needs a coach, Chris. I didn't even start on my college basketball team. I came off the bench in college, but the process helped me develop into an NBA ball player. So I get the process, right? Yeah. So a lot of people just think this is my lot in life. This is who I am. It is what it is. Don't ever confuse your potential to who you are at the time. And if we ever confuse our potential to who we are at the time, we'll stop working and we won't even engage in the process. Every year we should be fruitful and we should multiply. If you see a tree and you look at that tree, it grows every year. Every year that tree grows. That's why we look at a house 10 years later and like, man, remember that tree? Look how big it is now. And that should be us. We should be trees. We should be stable. We should be planted. We should be fierce. We should be able to survive any weather, any condition. We should still stand. As long as we get water, as long as we get in the sun, that street and that root system is going to be strong. I'm a 30-foot oak tree in the motivational speaking business. Tony Robbins is like a 60-foot oak tree. I get it. He's a shark, and I would love to be his suckerfish. So we all should always be either a shark or a suckerfish, because when you connect to a shark, man, that shark's job is to take you for a ride in the ocean for free, and you're going to eat good when you're with that shark, but you have to clean the parasites off the shark. In other words, go and connect with the shark today, but don't take from the shark. Be able to give to the shark, and that's when it's symbiotic, because parasites take. How many times have you been to a networking event and everybody there is a freaking parasite?
Absolutely. I think about 90% are, right?
Come on.
Yeah.
So I want to change the whole networking mindset upside down. Don't go there to be the parasite. Go there to be a shark, or you go there to be the suckerfish. But either way, you're going there to be good to somebody else, right? The shark feeds the suckerfish, but the fish is cleaned by the suckerfish because a parasite can kill a shark. Okay? Think about, great athletes who get connected to the wrong woman. That's a parasite. Think about great athletes who get connected to the wrong agent. Think about Bernie Madoff. People thought he was a shark, and they got connected to a parasite. And there was many people who got financially ruined because they connected to a parasite. So ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. You got to think like a shark or a suckerfish, but never, ever operate like a parasite.
Mm. I'm going to keep that analogy. I can't wait for your book to come out, man. I can't wait to read that because it all makes sense. It really does. It all makes sense of what you're saying right now. So you kind of mentioned a point there. Every shark, needs a suckerfish, and, find that shark and be that suckerfish until you can become that shark. So that's kind of going into that, everyone needs a coach, right? I remember when I hired my first coach, it was I thought I had my life together. I truthfully did. I was doing well, right? I got out of the military. I joined this tech firm, did really well. And I'm like, I don't need a coach. But what happened is you start to look at things differently. And that's what I'm hearing with your firm, right? Is you guys have people where you're like, you're just suckerfish. Like you think you're a shark, but you're not a shark yet.
Right,
So
right.
how do you get people, or what is your message to people where they're like, like I'm doing good. I'm a pretty good shark. What is the difference from thinking you're a shark to absolutely knowing you're a shark? Because I think those are two different things. And how
Well,
does that coaching aspect change that for people?
that's a great question, Chris, and I'll answer it this way. I only played in the NBA because I had great coaching. My first coach was called Dad. I mean, he's the one that helped me develop a mindset, right?
Okay.
So you have a son, 10. Parenting is really coaching if you really think about it. So I had great coaches at home. I got a chance to play for great coaches, and they helped me develop into who I became. And without coaching, I never would have reached my potential of who I am now. So I can't even take all the credit. So anyone out there who thinks they don't need a coach, they are so confused and so misled, and they'll literally never reach their potential. And they'll have these dreams of being a millionaire. And they'll have these dreams of being an entrepreneur. And trust me, it'll never happen because we all either need to be mentored or we all need to be mentoring someone else. So again, if you're not asked by someone else to be a mentor, you're not a shark. And that's where you'll know that, you know what, I'm a shark because people are asking me to mentor them. If you've never been asked to mentor or give someone advice, you're not a shark. And it is what it is. But here's the best part. Sharks grow. I've been studying sharks. I mean, they're small, but they keep growing and growing and growing. And that's the key for all of us, that we got to keep growing. And the only way we can grow is to get great information that's going to challenge us and to change how we think. So in my coaching sessions, people are just blown away because I put their whole career on steroids. My number one coaching client doubled his salary in 14 months.
Wow.
Doubled his salary in 14 months. And he was blown away. And he was in his late 30s, early 40s. And he was like, dude, I've been working in corporate America for like 17 years. And these last 14 months has been unbelievable. But you got to get connected to the right person. So
Right.
Nobody in our coaching program is ever disappointed because I'm bringing a sports mentality, how to be the best in the world at what you do. But I'm also inside of big companies. I'm inside of Domino's Pizza. I've been inside of Microsoft. And I see how they operate. So now I get how the business world operates. I got sports,
Yeah.
but now I've been in the business world and dealing with CEOs and leaders. I'm on the phone with the CEO of Denny's. I'm on the phone with the CEOs of Jersey Mike Subs. I mean, I'm getting it. And so anyone in my coaching program, they literally get the best of both worlds. They're getting my sports mentality. They're also getting my business mentality. And my job is to take whoever connects to me to that next level. And we're going deep, baby. We're going real deep.
Love it. Now, before I get into asking more about your coaching program, but what do you think everybody, just a quick question, you mentioned mentor, you mentioned coaching, and I think both are two kind of different things, right? Do you think everyone should also have a mentor and a coach at the same time?
Yes. I think you need one coach.
Okay.
A suckerfish connects to one shark at a time. Okay. You need one coach because there's a million different ways to skin the cat. If you get coached by too many different people, it gets confusing. And when you can confuse, you get paralyzed. You're like a deer in the headlights. So I recommend you choose one coach. It's almost like finding your favorite pastor, your favorite preacher. Once you find a church home or a synagogue or wherever you go to worship, you keep going back because, like, man, I love that guy. I love her, man. I just love the way they teach or whatever you like. So you got to find one coach. I think it's okay to have different mentors because you might have a mentor that really influences you as a husband. You might have another mentor that really encourages you to work out before work. You might have another mentor that teaches you about philanthropy and so I think it's important to have one coach that gives your career direction, that gives your company direction, and it's just like one mindset. But then I think you should have several mentors. But the whole deal of the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite is basically a people management system.
Mhm.
Everybody's going to fit into one of these three buckets. And at any moment in the day, when people don't want to be a parasite, let me tell you something. At any moment in the day, we can be all three. When we get selfish and only think about ourselves, we're parasites. And that's the biggest issue most of us have, being selfish. If you think about an employee that goes to work, gets a paycheck every 2 weeks, and doesn't work hard, that's a parasite. You show me someone that just get paid every 2 weeks and they don't buy into the corporate culture, that's a parasite. You show me someone who gets paid every 2 weeks, cashes that check, pays their bill, pays their mortgage, pays their car note, eats every freaking 2 weeks and eats good, but bad mouths the CEO, doesn't buy into the culture, looking for other jobs. In my mind, that's a parasite. Okay, and so the Gallup poll tells me that 51% of professionals in North America are actively disengaged. That means half the people getting paychecks every other Friday are freaking parasites. They're taking, but they don't give. And let their paycheck not show up. Let their paycheck not clear. They're upset. They're enraged. How dare you not pay me? Well, how dare you not contribute?
Yeah.
How dare you not have impact? How dare you go to work every 2 weeks and steal from the company? See, parasites don't really kill you. They just weaken you.
Mm-hmm.
If you
That's
ask
true.
any business leader, their number one challenge is finding a company and a culture where everyone brings it every day at work, where everybody owns their job. If you're in marketing, own it. If you're in sales, own it. You might not own the company, but you can own your job. You can own your responsibility. You can own your productivity. You can own your production. Man, when I grab a microphone, man, when I get done with my clients, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's on a stage in front of 5,000, they always want more. Why? Because I've been seeking information, man. I've been like just eating information like M&M. So now I'm full of it. And when you engage me, I can talk like this all day and I'll never repeat myself. Why?
Yeah.
Because I've been seeking information. Okay. But also, I've been seeking the right relationships and
Right.
I've been connecting with sharks and now I've become a shark myself.
Man, I'm so happy I got a chance to connect to you today because, Walter, this is a great way to start my Saturday morning with just talking to you and hearing your insight on all of this. Going into, I want to respect your time, and I know you got Saturday golf and your time at the country club there. But before, just to let everyone know, how could somebody engage with you with your coaching program? I know you have a few different models of how you work. So anybody who is listening and they're like, man, if they're like me, I'm inspired by listening to you right now. How do they engage with Walter Bonds and his team?
Easy. You just go to walterbond.com,
Yeah.
click coaching, and sign up for our coaching program. We got different price points. We have
Yep.
different ways to engage. We have other coaches. Naturally, I'm a little bit more expensive than my other coaches, but it's
Sure.
all the same content, right? And all our coaches are good, okay? And if you join our coaching program, we also coach speakers. There's a lot of people out here that say, Walter, I want to do what you do. I want to be a speaker. We have a coaching program for speakers. That's why I couldn't get on with you until 10:30 because we do our coaching program Saturday morning. So go to walterbond.com, click coaching, and sign up. We're coaching people all over the world. And let me tell you something. A great white shark, when they tag that shark, man, that shark's been swimming all over the ocean, man. And let me tell you something. When a shark is feeding, you better watch out. Okay? And so in our coaching program, we really want to train business leaders and professionals how to get to their next level. And the only way you can get to your next level is that you have to have the right mindset. You have to have good habits, good rituals. You have to know the fundamentals of the industry. And when I get done with people, they're different. I messed their head up. Like, no, 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 I'm not going to let you stay the same. You've been a fish your whole life. Now you're a shark. And you connect to me, you might come a suckerfish, but when you leave my coaching program, you're going to be a great white shark. And the longer people stay in our coaching program, the more information they get, the more convicted they get, the stronger they get, and the more know-how. We got to know how to hunt. We got to know how to kill. I teach people how to sell. how to build their brand, right? How to take over their freaking backyard, okay? And I don't care how big your company is, there's always that next level. And so big companies like, Buffalo Wild Wings and Jersey Mike Subs and Microsoft, if they see value in hiring me to come and have an impact on their company, why wouldn't you hire me? Why wouldn't you connect with me? Because smart people are always accessing information from the right people. And so if you can manage those two things, information and connecting to the right people, ladies and gentlemen, you don't even have to join my coaching program. I just gave you $1 million advice right now. With the smart money, just going to walterbond.com, getting connected to us somehow, and I promise you one thing, you will get to your next level.
Awesome. Walter, it was an absolute pleasure this morning, man. I hope we can do this again. You just, I was, Saturday morning, 7:30 here. I'm on the West Coast, I was having a coffee, a little tired, but you just got me fueled up for the weekend, man. And I really appreciate the time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Chris. And here's my advice. When you cut off this computer, go out there with your son and study sharks with him.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go talk to him right now about just everything. Because he's been telling me, talking about his top 10 sharks and bull sharks and tiger sharks and the black tip reef sharks. And you know what? I got to be a shark now. So let's go be a shark. You be a shark. And let's go have a successful weekend, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. You have a great weekend as well.
All right. Thanks, Walter.